Hi, everybody. Thomas Miller from the Fun Astrology Podcast. Every day now, Monday through Saturday at least, right here on TikTok, on YouTube, and on your favorite audio podcast apps. Let's take a look at the chart for 2024. This is set to where I am. You'll have to put your own up, and it will look a little bit different, but I'm going to show you what I've got here in North Carolina. This is for, of course, midnight, January 1st, 2024. The one thing that just really pops out at me right off the bat is right here. My eyes went to this because this is the area of our career, but really if you go to a party and somebody says, "Hey, what do you do?" Well, how you answer that is kind of what's talking about up here. It's how you shine your light out into the world. Because what if you're retired? What if you're a single mom? You don't have a career and you're not defined by, oh, I'm an accountant. Oh, okay, that's all I need to know about you to understand who you are. It's a crazy question. But this area of how we put ourselves out into the world is going to be driven this entire year by intuition, because that's Cancer up there at the top of the chart. And where Cancer shows up, which one of these pieces of pie it lands on, is an area of your life where intuition is the most important driving factor for you. So that's what we have at the top of the chart. I also like this point right here. The ascendant point is 2 degrees Libra. So there's this built-in desire for balance. And we need that right now, don't we? In fact, bring it on, right? Wouldn't you say? So one thing we can do, who are trying to live on our highest timeline, is bring balance into the world. That's almost a mandate from the universe right now. And if we follow that right on down to here, that's the ruler of Libra, of course, Venus, and it's in a sextile to the ascendant, sitting right here in Sagittarius inside the third house. Now, the third house is about communication, speaking out, speak out love this year. You see, there's a wonderful theme to this positive side of the energy. Now, let's look at the challenging side because it's there too. Robert Glasscock and I do the Old Soul, New Soul Astrology podcast. Robert's been doing astrology since 1965. About 5 years ago, in a class at Kepler College, he pointed this out. And basically, it's in the United States Sibley chart that later this year in the fall, solar arc Saturn, which you can see here in the 7th house, is going to be approaching the United States natal Mars. That's in the 7th house of relationships, but when relationships turn bad, they become war. So we're talking about a symbolism here of the divided nature of Gemini, the sign that they are all in, civil war. Now, that's not a given, that's a possibility, and we'll just have to see this year if we move more toward that or away from it, but it is a possibility. At least keep it in mind. So when we look at this chart, do we see anything to support that? Well, the first thing is Mars, which, of course, on the shadow side of things, and that's what we're talking about here, is on the Imum Coeli, or the nadir. It's the lowest, it's the bottom point of the chart, the darkest point of night, and it represents, in one sense, our home, our roots. And if we take that from a mundane interpretation of the big macro, the conflict planet is sitting right there in this natal chart for 2024. The other thing is, and we've talked about this on the podcasts quite a bit, especially when it moved in, that's the North Node that looks like an upside-down horseshoe. That's in Aries. And see, that's an underscore of what you just saw. That's in Aries and in the house of what could be conflict, and the North Node in Aries, if we trace it back over the last several major wars, has been present in exactly that same sign of Aries. So there's the conflict. And of course, that is in a trine to Mars down here at the nadir. And the last thing is, surprisingly, the moon in Virgo, which is typically an earth sign, balanced, grounded, etc., or at least grounded. Virgo wants everything in order, but it's in the 12th house, this real estate of the chart. The 12th house is of secret sorrow and self-undoing. Well, if we take that again from the macro, that's one that you can't ignore. So we have 3 places, the moon in the 12th, the Mars down at the bottom, the nadir of the chart, and then the North Node up in the 7th house in the sign of war. All right. So those are the shadow sides. We have to spread the light. We have to be love. We have to say love often, and we have to bring balance into the world. And for this year, as far as what do I do with my job? Do I go to school? All of these things that are this kind of decision, follow your intuition. And that's going to be the theme of my work this year, is helping you tune in to your intuition. I wish you a very happy new year, and we are going to live on the high timeline side of all of this, and I'll see you on the podcasts 6 days a week. Until we say it again next year, Happy New Year.